What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Battle of Central Europe Season 3. We're going to be traveling back in time about 7 hours to when Denial Esports and mYinsanity played their first game, except this time, mYinsanity have an army of stand-ins, and hopefully they're pretty good stand-ins because they're down 0-1 versus Denial so far in this best of 2. This is the last game of the day, guys, and we're going to be bringing you the action. I'm Mike Loris, along with Grandis V here on HeflaTV Hitbox 1, and man, I hope you're still awake because it's been a long day.
It definitely has. The only players that mYinsanity have that maintain through both of the games are Lizard and Milan. Lizard working with the Meepo in the first game didn't really work out for them. They just never were able to get it off of the ground. As far as the other stand-ins, I've actually never seen them play Cold GG and Undershocker, new names for me, but they're going to start out with a fairly stable combination, the Scarlet Mage and Faceless Void up against Denial Esports Brewmaster.
Yeah, and mYinsanity currently on the bottom of the group. They haven't won a game yet, so hopefully these stand-ins are just going to play absolutely out of their mind, but I don't know. I mean, first of all, it's going up against the Denial Esports, which is tough for them to begin with, and then, well, they have more heroes, more players not on their team playing than are currently on their team, so that's even more difficult, but either way, it is going to be Scarlet Mage and Faceless Void, as you said, a very stable opening, as you do have pretty much an insta-kill setup with that Mystic Flare. Denial, though, have ways of getting people out now with the Vengeful Spirit, and this is the first time we are actually going to see Venge this game, or this day, I think. But regardless, Venge and Brewmaster are going to make it very difficult for mYinsanity to land this combo, but if it does, it's going to be glorious.
Yeah, for sure. And what mYinsanity have is decently well equipped to deal with the Brewmaster, but the Vengeful Spirit pick for Denial Esports, I quite like it, even though not being a peculiar hero. The defensive swaps, as you've already kind of alluded to, is really good against Faceless Void and Scarlet Mage in particular. That combination is shut down by Venge. Disruptor also works pretty well up against it, but it doesn't offer the same playstun that Vengeful Spirit does, and just all around a really solid support this game more than most. Next bans, we're going to see Ancient Apparition taken away from mYinsanity. Would have given them something to either follow up with a Chronosphere or to set up inside the Chronosphere, and then mYinsanity will ban out the bat.
Right, so it's going to be mYinsanity trying to take a monopoly over that initiating, and well, Death Prophet's still in the pool, and it's going to be banned out now by Denial. In the previous games, I mean, they got roughed up pretty badly by it, so they're going to make sure that that doesn't happen again, but mYinsanity, really, how much do they want to invest into this Faceless Void? That's always a question that teams have to ask themselves. Do they want to go full out and, pick up an Invoker for a Sunstrike on top of it, or a Queen of Pain for a Sonic Wave, or are they happy with just a Faceless Void right now? I mean, the lockdown is pretty damn good against a Brewmaster already, so it could be a possibility that they just sit on this Faceless Void and go for just stronger heroes in general. They do need one more support hero right now. As far as viable supports to pick up, Ogre Magi is looking pretty good.
If they don't want to go for the Ogre, Sand King's also available for them to offer a different initiating hero, as well as something that can put damage inside the Chronosphere. Also can't really go wrong. Although he might be played a little bit more passively with a Scarlet Mage to set up with a concussive shot. Also can get some ganks off. So I wouldn't mind seeing a Sand King in place of that Ogre Magi, but no matter what they pick, as long as it offers some sort of lockdown, it should work nicely for them for that other support. If instead they want to pick up a different core, as you already said, it's going to depend how much they want to invest in the Chronosphere. Invoker is available and could be pretty good for them if they have an Invoker player amongst all of those 5, which they probably do.
Yeah, I mean, someone should be able to play Invoker, right? It's not that hard as far as heroes are concerned. Maybe they're going to go back for a Meepo, but with the Faceless Void on your team, it's pretty unlikely. Really, they can go for anything right now. Generally, at this point, you want to pick up just a solid hero overall. Maybe it's going to be a solid core, someone like a Viper Razor, like one of those types of heroes. But really, right now, they're pretty much forced to show their cards, I think. Unless they want to pick up something like a Witch Doctor, which is very safe, and combos very well with Faceless Void, which is probably the best way at them hiding what they want to do, but it is going to be a Sand King, first one of the day.
Yeah, and this one, it's going to be a pretty good Sand King game, but Denial Esports are going to go with the Beastmaster. When I've seen them play it, it's generally a jungle Beastmaster for effing mad. I'm not a huge fan of it, but he seems to find enough farm on the hero to make it have an impact. And just always that global vision is really nice. We might be in for a Tinker as well.
Yeah, it is possible to have used that very free hawk, or I guess pseudo-free hawk, and well, mYinsanity, They're going to respond to this with an Invoker. We were asking the question, how much do they want to invest into this Chronosphere? It's going to be a lot. They have all the damage in the world, so this, of course, makes Chronosphere better and better with every single additional pick, but at the same time, they're up against Beastmaster, Brewmaster. Even though Extort Sunstrike is great with the Chronosphere, Wex Voker is actually looking pretty fantastic here.
It really is. For Denial, if they want to go for that Tinker, it's still not a terrible choice, but it's not great either. mYinsanity have a lot of ways to catch him out, so I'd like to see them go for something a little bit more stable as their safe lane core, but then again, what is it going to be? It's going to be a Kunkka. I have no idea how these lanes are going to work out for Denial. I think it's going to be an offlane Brewmaster with a mid Kunkka, Vengeful Spirit supporting, and Beastmaster in the jungle. But I could be completely wrong. The Kunkka's going to be nice to drop a boat inside the Faceless Void Chronosphere to stop a lot of the damage Faceless Void's able to put out, and even if the boat doesn't land on the Faceless Void, it's still time he's spending juking away from it, and that boat buff on the allies inside the Chronosphere is going to be very useful.
It is possible for Denial to run a Kunkka Vengeful Spirit support duo. That is pretty deadly, and then have Brew and Beastmaster just solo their lanes, or, for the most part, solo their lanes, as Kunkka Vengeful Spirit are going to be able to contribute wherever they want, and aside from that, the heroes from Denial are pretty self-sufficient. It seems like that's what mYinsanity think Denial are going to do, and I think that's a pretty safe read. Kunkka support is not oftenly seen, but if you do have any contribution from the lane that you're ganking in general, then you're going to be just fine, and that's probably going to get off to a pretty decent start for Denial. But for mYinsanity, they need one more core right now. It's going to be a Darkseer banned out by Denial, making sure they don't have everything to go into that Chronosphere right now. But mYinsanity, they could just back off and go for a Jakiro or something like that and have a Macro Pyre. If they do want to go for Exort Invoker, then Forge Spirits plus the Liquid Fire is going to be pretty kick-ass. But with the Kunkka pickup, I think this is going to be a Wex build for the Invoker. I mean, burning Brew and Kunkka and Vengeful out of mana is just too appealing to pass up.
mYinsanity are instead going to go for the pocket. It's going to give them another way to open up a fight, and currently there's 3 really solid initiating tools at their disposal to find fights on their own terms with a Time Walking Chronosphere, Blink Bird Strike, and Blink Dreamcoil on the puck. And they have a decent amount of damage inside of it. I wouldn't be heartbroken if this is an Exort Invoker either, just because of the amount of setup they have for it. I think it could work out as well. But Wex Invoker definitely has its merits. No matter what style of Invoker they play, I still think it's going to be able to get something done, which is actually fairly rare to see.
Yeah, Invoker has fallen off quite a bit before he was, or a couple of months ago, a couple of years-ish ago. Invoker would be first picked and no one would blink twice about that, but nowadays he's very rarely seen, but still can get quite a bit done. For Denial, I mean, they have a good amount of pushing power just with the Beastmaster in itself. They can decide to go for a little bit more if they really want to. I don't really know if that's going to be the best way that they could actually go. They, at the very least, want to have a self-sufficient hero in the lane, just so that the potential for Vengeful Spirit Kunkka roam is going to be even stronger, as they don't have to be constantly babysitting that one person. The Tinker is actually looking pretty decent here. It is going to be challenging up against the Scarith Mage and Sand King, who are going to, I assume, be ganking around the map pretty heavily for mYinsanity, but if they could get it off the ground, then it'll be great to just slowly constrict in mYinsanity and restrict their farm space, and then eventually crack Raxes.
For now, Denial Esports are going to take their time with this pick. I wouldn't be opposed to the Tinker, but if they want to go for something different, that's also not a bad option either. Yeah, no matter how they shake down these lanes, whether or not it's a core Kunkka or core Beastmaster, however that actually breaks down, Denial Esports are still going to be able to get a decent amount out of the map. I think going for the core Kunkka and or for the support Kunkka and the core Beastmaster towards the offlane is their best bet. And even if they pick up the Tinker, I think they'll throw it towards the safe lane just to ensure that he gets that extra bit of farm. But yeah, I think a Vengeful Spirit and Kunkka could be able to get a decent amount of roaming done inside this game, and the heroes that they'd be ganking for would be able to contribute a little bit of damage on top of it, but it's going to be a Spectre instead.
This is not the hero I had in mind. The chat was screaming Silencer, and I think that was going to be a pretty good pickup for Denial if they did choose to go down that route. I was going to say Venomancer for them, a core hero that could put out a large amount of damage, but at the same time offer a little bit in the way of pushing. Spectre can really do none of that. So now with Denial Esports, they're going to be working with a very much so 4 protect 1 kind of strategy, and it is possible that these 4 heroes, because of just how powerful they are, pretty much win the game without the Spectre being involved. That is very rare to see, but it is a possibility. We'll see if they can get it going, as Denial now have pretty much late game supremacy, even up against the Faceless Void. It is hard to compete with the Spectre, but we're in the last game of the day, guys. Denial currently won their currently 1-0, as they did win their previous game versus mYinsanity earlier in the day. This is going to be it. Beastmaster is going to be heading down south. It is going to be played by Funzy. Fucking Mad is following up as the Kunkka. CryoJ on the Vengeful Spirit. Paris is on the Farming Spectre. And then last in the row, it's going to be Joral on the Brewmaster.
And for mYinsanity, the players that we actually know, it's going to be Lizard on the Scarith Mage. And let's see, who else is there? It's going to be Milan playing on the Sand King. Very interesting switch up. Milan's usually one to be playing a farming hero. Effing Mad is going to bump into both of these two. And then our three stand-ins, let's see if a fight actually breaks out. It looks like it's unlikely. Invoker is going to be played by Cole. Mid, it's going to be Puck played by Undershock, leaving last but not least stand-in GG on the Faceless Void.
Alright, so lanes for mYinsanity, it is just going to be a Faceless Void up towards top all by himself. Still, we're seeing a little bit of poking and prodding over in this jungle area. Milan, got to be a little bit careful, but fucking Mad really doesn't want to just throw out a random torrent. Without setup, it is not going to have that much of a large effect. So we have Cole the Invoker is going to be picking up level 1 in that Exhort, so I guess that answers that question for us relatively early on. Invoker Exhort is going to be just fine, as he has a lot of stunning to set him up, so Sunstrikes are going to be raining from the heavens. And on the bottom lane, you generally do like to go for this Exhort build. It's very rare that you see bottom lane or side lane Invokers go for Wex, as generally it takes a little bit more effort to gank into the other lanes, but regardless, it is a pretty nice build for the Invoker, and he's going to be going up against a pretty easy matchup in the Beastmaster. It's a matchup that the Invoker could win by himself. When he has a little bit of help from the Scarith Mage or Sand King, that's just so much easier.
Definitely. For now, our lane matchups, we're going to have Puck versus Brewmaster mid. Should be fine for either side, favoring the Puck slightly. Bottom lane, this Brewmaster shouldn't be able to get much out of it at all. It's going to be Funzy playing in that lane. Although he can farm up the Ancients, it's not going to be a very great time for him. Currently, Lizard is going to be stacking and pulling, or rather just pulling, and we'll look for a pull through on top of it. Deny experience that way, but for now, Brewmaster is able to get at least 1 or 2 lanes, or waves of experience, excuse me. Top lane, Faceless Void is going to be the offlaner for mYinsanity, and he is trading hits with Vengeful Spirit for now, but definitely needs to respect the supporting duo of the Venge and the Kunkka. They can get kills on Faceless Void, especially since he goes for Bash level 1.
Yeah, I think that's the most weird thing about this lane situation. Faceless Void off lane is not exactly unheard of, but going for Bash level 1, expecting to get into fistfights is very rarely seen, so he has to be playing very cautiously until he hits level 2, in which case he will be able to play as per normal, but until that happens, he's going to be under threat of dying, as a Magic Missile into Torrent, that already is enough to rough him up pretty badly. Spectre is not going to be able to contribute that much, unfortunately, for her, but, I mean, GG's getting into a fist fight now with fucking Mad, and well, it's going to be a fight that the Faceless Void is pretty comfortable
Funzy
taking.
bottom?
He has some more damage, and oh god, bottom. Beastmaster's going to die. Sure.
Yeah, okay, so it happens every once in a while that we miss a first blood, but that was pretty much just Cold Snap Sunstrike into Walk Down with some Sand King Bro Strike action as well. Beastmaster, as far as offlaners are concerned, has no way to get out of that once he's in a situation where there is killing potential up against him in Sand King. Now, deep behind enemy lines, looking for a Courier Snipe, presumably. Unfortunately for him, the Brewmaster actually doesn't have the bottle gold yet. He's going to be sitting here for quite some time till he finds it. But then again, I don't expect mYinsanity to, or rather Denial to know that Sand King's here and won't expect this angle at the very least. He's tasted up, won't find the Courier. Hasn't shown himself yet. Let's see. I don't know. It's a lot of wasted time if he doesn't get this bottle snipe, and he's not going to get this bottle snipe. He ends up backing out without the haste rune.
And top lane, GG is going to get a little support from the Scarith Mage. Now going to try to turn things around onto Cryo. Here comes a dagger, though, and GG is going to get stunned mid-time walk. Faceless Void so very close to getting out from there, but the perfect turnaround time from Cryo is going to solidify the kill, making it a 1-for-1 trade. Right now, Denial's still a little bit behind because of First Blood, but that's going to be still pretty okay with them. Kind of a weird situation in the mid lane where if Joral, or if the Puck wasn't handling the lane as well, they would have gotten a Courier Snipe, so I guess Butterfly Effect Dota right there. But either way, I mean, Denial really right now, it's even if they take a little bit of a loss, it's fine. They just want their level 6s on the Brewmaster and the Beastmaster. Once that happens, then they will be able to start to make some action happen around the map and just buy space for the Spectre. Denial, their goal is to take this one late, and they have the heroes to do so. I think Funzy is going to be going for his pretty classic earn into gem build, although he does have a lot of flexibility in his items. It's a Beastmaster. If he really wants to, he could go for a Necro Book.
He definitely could, and Funzy's still getting a decent amount of levels out of this lane, even though he gave up the First Blood. Faceless Void is not having the same amount of successes. He's only level 2, and Beastmaster, he doesn't have any stacks up in the Ancients yet, but eventually that might be an option for him. Milan currently taking a lot of damage from this creep camp, dropped down to about half, and now the axes, Milan. That's a little too close for comfort, going to be forced to tango and Claire Diop to stay in this lane. If there was, like, just a little bit more damage, that could have been a very clean kill for Funzy.
Man, that would have been embarrassing as well for Milan to just randomly die to creeps and axes. They're going to set up for top lane one more time. GG getting a chain stun with a free-handed torrent. No, it was just X torrent, and that's just enough to kill off the Faceless Void. Level 3 Kunkka is the golden level, and that's going to be enough to kill off the Void for the second time. In the meantime, mid lane, Doral on the run from Undershock as well as Lizard. Teleportation canceled over towards mid. I believe that was the Beastmaster to throw that one towards the mid lane, but just getting a little bit of pressure off the Brew. Regardless, Denial take a 2-1 lead in top lane. Spectre, she does have 2 assists, so she would much rather to have 2 kills, but still, if Paris is under no pressure, then this late game Spectre is going to be an absolute terror, as she can just now start rushing up her Radiance. I think that might be what she's doing right now, in fact.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think that's the better build this game than going for anything intermediate after the phase boot. She's completely controlling this lane, and that's going to maintain the case. Gets bashed by the Faceless Void once, but there's no way he can chase him down. But the Beastmaster down in bottom, he's going to eat a Sunstrike, Cold Snap, Burrow Strike, and that's going to be the end of his life, even with 2 boars running. Not going to save you there. Beastmaster again getting cut out of position, and this time he's not going to get experience for his trouble.
And Sand King already level 3, and that's pretty much where you want to be as a Sand King. Level 3 is when you can start sandstorming up the camps, and well, even though the Skywrath Mage Sand King haven't had much luck in ganking the other lanes, they haven't really tried yet. So once they leave, if they do in fact do so, they will be able to set up for the Invoker Sunstrikes, which so far have been landing. So Cole doing decently just by himself over on the bottom lane, and he's going to go for Hand of Midas. Pretty standard Invoker build incoming in this game. Funzy is going to be messing with Milan just a little bit, and well, Sand King is going to get hit pretty hard by those axes. Level 2, they do quite a bit of damage. Milan is actually going to find himself Funzy, and here comes a hasted Brewmaster. The 2 BMs are going to look to initiate onto Milan, but a Burrow Strike through over the trees, it might get him enough time to be safe, although Brewmaster has enough mana for a clap split. Oh, does he really want to dive this one? Looks like Sand King is home free. That could have been very ugly.
It definitely could have been. Sand King with the I don't know, just good play going over the trees. And without any tangos or Quelling Blade on either of these two, they can't pursue that kill. And lucky enough for the bottom lane, they don't get the Claps Foot onto the Invoker either. Mid lane, even though Brewmaster was roaming, Kunkka's able to soak up some experience there, so not a lot lost. Although Puck has been pretty much unpressured after getting the bottle and boots, now 900 gold. Towards his Blink Dagger, and Undershock's going to have that at a decent timing. Currently the second highest CSing hero in the game after the Spectre, of course. Spectre is going to build a Bracer instead of rushing straight towards Radiance, and although you can't really fault him for going into something like Drums, I really would have thought that this game, more than most, would have just been a straight Relic Rush.
Yeah, I mean, he's up against 1, if not 0 heroes in lane. Faceless Void isn't doing anything to contest, so going for a drum build is always a little bit safer than going for just a straight up Relic Rush, but I think in this game he could definitely get away with it. Regardless, as long as mYinsanity are kind of sitting back in this type of game state where they're not actively poking at Denial, then Denial can actually build up whatever items they want. Like, literally anything they want is going to work, since it's pretty much them versus 0 heroes right now. We do see a little bit of rotation from fucking Mad. If he sets up with a Torrent, it might be enough to kill off this Invoker. Although without a Roar, it seems extremely slim. It's a higher chance that he's going to kill off one of these supports, and he's going to run straight into Lizard. X marks the spot, and the spot is the Torrent. Here comes a Haunt from the Spectre just for good measure. Lizard is doomed to fall. That's going to be Beastmaster stealing the kill. Good job, Funzy. You certainly earned that one. But it's going to be a kill on Skywrath Mage nonetheless, and fucking Mad is able to do this as a level 4 Kunkka. Has an earn in the works, and, well, it's going to be a lot easier for him to do so once he completes that item.
Brewmaster, in the meantime, splits mostly defensively in the mid lane, isn't able to get any kills off of it, but does stop the puck from killing himself up top. Stun and a GG, and even though there's a Burrow Strike close, it's not going to be enough immediately to save him, but the South, as well as just walking away from the Spectre, will. Milan is close, as a Burrow Strike cooling down, we'll get long range into Paris with the Sunstrike coming in. It's not going to do enough damage, it's that split between him, Cryo and a handful of creeps, and Paris will be able to salve up too, so nobody's dying in the top lane yet.
Well, fucking Mad is going to look to change things. Normally where this Kunkka goes, death follows, and GG. I think they did see the Kunkka move up here, and Kunkka isn't even going to test the lane. He's going to just start pulling, so Kunkka's not going to be claiming any kills just yet, but so far the Sunstrikes and the Invoker, though they have been landing on the Beastmaster in his own lane, it hasn't really been working out for him over on the sides, but that's completely fine since he's going for the Hand of Midas. He actually has had it for quite a while. With 1,600 gold in the bank, could be phase boots, although going for a straight Necrobook also seems pretty appealing right now. He could play the Broodmother build down in the bottom lane.
He's going to go for a medallion, so pretty much none of the aforementioned builds, but this is going to give Funzy a little bit of extra mana sustain, which is always nice to have as a Beastmaster to keep spamming your spells, and more than anything, this is going to open up Roshan for denial. With the Howl as well as the medallion, they'll be able to take it even though most of the heroes aren't very great at taking Roshan, so they'll be able to get away with that. They're going to try to jump in mid lane, but the Burst Strike doesn't connect onto Jarrell, so Jarrell's going to be just fine.
Yeah, they really messed that one up. Undershock just randomly coiled Jarrell when it was just the puck there, so that's obviously not going to make anything happen, and then the supports came way too late. It's going to be the bottom lane where they set their sights. There's a level 6 on the Beastmaster. A Roar is probably the best way to start out a gank aside from a Blink Lasso. Cole is going to get haunted upon as well. Perfectly chain stunned by the Magic Missile, and Beastmaster this time is going to get a kill that he deserves over towards bot, and well, it's also Paris jumping in and trying to steal the kill because Spectres are allowed to do that, guys. Don't blame your Spectres when they steal your kills. Is going to be able to help out just a little bit. 4 assists now for the Spectre, and she's doing pretty well in the net worth chart. A little bit behind the Invoker, which is to be expected, given the Invoker's packing that gold hand, but Paris is still keeping up, and now that he has the drum and the phase boots, I think going for anything else as far as the early game build is a mistake, although it is possible to go for, Diffusal Manta as a build. Radiance now seems like a no-brainer.
It really does, and although these items are nice, I think going for them instead of the drums would have been better, but yeah, as you said, this is going to be pretty much just a no-brainer Radiance game. If Spectre gets that Radiance, the Scarth Mage is pretty much going to die in the duration of one haunt, unless he gets a whole lot of gold, and at the current pace of the game, Scarth Mage is dirt poor in both levels and CS, so I don't expect that to change anytime soon. And even the other heroes on mYinsanity aren't going to be too healthy, and once the next couple of items come out, Spectre might end up being able to just 1v5 the enemy team.
And mYinsanity aren't really doing anything to prevent that. They poked at her once on the top lane with the Sunstrike. That really didn't work out, and until they try again, Spectre's just going to be free farming. Now on the bottom lane, really far away from any sort of support with the exception of Beastmaster, but they need more than just the Invoker if they're going to kill off the Spectre. Because she has gone for these early game items, she is allowed to go for this type of play and not really get punished. It is possible that she dies if someone teleports in, like the Sand King or the Mystic Flare comes in with the Scarth Mage, but I mean, that's a level 3 Scarth Mage that we're talking about, and well, Sand King is still just happily farming away for his Blink. Once that happens, once the Blink Dagger is picked up, then the Sand King will be able to try to make some attempts on the Spectre's life. But until then, Spectre's going to have absolute free farm. And I'm pretty sure she could have had a Relic by now, or would have been very close if she didn't stop for the drums and the phase.
Yeah. Right now, we are going to see Funzy reconnect back to this game, and Sand King is going to have a fairly fast Blink Dagger. Although it's not the fastest I've ever seen, it's going to be at a decent timing for support Sand King. He'll have it probably at 12 minutes in. I don't think there's many more stacks available, but once he does, that is one of the bigger openings that they have. Blink Dagger on the puck is available, so maybe Undershock can make an attempt for Spectre's life. As long as they go about it cleanly, they might be able to kill him off before the Sand King Blink Dagger is even available.
Well, GG moving down to the bottom lane so far has kept himself hidden. A Chronosphere into a Sunstrike is almost a guaranteed way of getting a kill on anyone, let alone a softer hero like Spectre. But Spectre, for one reason or another, is going to smell something coming and is going to jump right back up towards top. So she is going to dodge a gank. I don't know if she knew that this was happening, although actually, they had a Hawk in the area, so they saw everything. So it's going to be Spectre making use of that Beastmaster's Hawk, and Well, Funzy still has another Roar, and Joral has a split, which so far we haven't seen just yet. Denial, I mean, they should be, in theory, looking for kills with these, but because mYinsanity aren't going aggressive at all, they're playing super passively, Beastmaster and Brewmaster can very well just as easily hold on to their ultimates and just, like, use the threat of those ultimates to keep Spectre safe. That's also another way to go.
Yeah, and as long as Spectre is safe, that's really all that matters. Paris ferries himself out of clarity just to stay in lane that much longer. He will have mana probably for both his ultimate and the Spectral Dagger after this clarity, and I think ferrying out those... Excuse me, and we're going to see a jump onto Brewmaster. He's still picking up his split, however. Dreamcoil not going to stop that with a Roar onto the Faceless Void. He's not going to be able to time walk away, but he will turn for the Chronosphere. It's completely defensive. The Brewlings are still doing a pretty large chunk of damage. Unless he gets the backtracks of his life, he's not going to survive, and indeed he will fall as the Brewmaster. When Brewling's going to secure that death, Kunkka surviving with very low HP up in top. I didn't actually see how that went down, and Gerald's going to be able to walk away on top of it. Denial, it's a 1 for a 0, even though mYinsanity are the ones to open up the fight.
It looked pretty good for them. I mean, if you open up with the silence on the Brewmaster with the puck being there as well, normally you can get those, but as soon as the split came out, it was mYinsanity to book it, and it seemed like they were going to make a safe escape, but the Chronosphere slightly misplaced. If the Faceless Void just put it right on top of himself with him in the middle, then he could have walked out and the Brewmaster could have done nothing to interfere, but instead he let two Brewlings slip away, and well, just a slightly misplaced Chronosphere is going to be the difference between living and dying for the Faceless Void. Now Denial with a 5-2 advantage in this game, and their Spectre, gold check, 1600. So far, still no pressure being applied to that Spectre, and really no pressure being applied to any other of the Denial heroes either. Funzy used the Roar to open up the fight onto the Faceless Void in response, and now with 800 gold, generally I do see him going for a gem, but I don't really know if he wants to go for it this game. It's never going to be a bad item pickup, but maybe since you're getting a lot of free space, you go for something a little bit more aggressive. Like, well, first of all, getting blood on Cole. That's also pretty good. Roar into Torrent, into Boat. Rest in peace, Invoker. Here comes an Epicenter. Going to be pretty nicely done onto Funzy, but it's not going to be enough to save Cole, or is it? Deafening Blast going to buy him a little more space, and that's going to be Cole escaping for a little while longer. Now with the Quas runes active, he's going to live in his entirety. Although Funky Matt needs one more cleave. One more cleave. No, he's not going to throw it. He doesn't have cleave, actually. Jarrell's just going to swoop in with the haste rune and take that kill. Now he's going to try to chase forward for more. He does not have a split, but he's going to be safe regardless until he drops himself at half HP, killing off a melee Necro unit. It's a 1-for-1 trade still. It's going to benefit Denial. However, Joral is going to get tethered up, and he can't really go anywhere. Now he's going to be hit with a Burrow Strike. Here comes the Spectre Haunt, but she really can't jump into this by herself. She needs help. She's going to try to go for Lizard regardless. With Avenge right behind her, Spectre should be able to take this kill, and she will. Milan sitting in the middle of the fight with the Sandstorm. They don't have any true set, but they're going to go for Undershock regardless. She does have an orb out. Puck is going to throw it to the north, actually, and get chopped down by the Spectre. It's a double for Paris, and I think they actually do have enough heroes here to go for a push, but the Spectre seriously collecting on this bottom lane. After all is said and done, it doesn't even matter who Denial lose, since they draw an even fight with Spectre taking all the kills.
Yeah, and that's not an even fight. Even after going for the drum, she's well on her way towards getting that relic at 16 minutes and just 800 gold short. Paris is going to have it very soon. To have that completed Radiance, and she's going to be, or rather, Paris is going to be incredibly scary. And as scary as a free farm Spectre is, a free farm Spectre that's getting kills is even more so. They lose their Beastmaster to start that off, but Beastmaster is more than willing to give up his life as long as he kills off some cores and gets that Roar off first. Tier 1 tower down and bottom is being pushed solo by Funzy, and CryoJ is there to offer a little bit of assistance, but really isn't necessary. Yeah, they'll be able to take this tier 1 as they bring in some more heroes, and the only ones inbound is going to be the Scout Mage. She's jumped by a clap, crit, and they should be able to bring him down just with the rundown. Blink forward, body block, and one more smack by Brewmaster's Spade.
Yeah, Vengeful Spirit can't even get in there close enough for a Magic Missile, which is probably going to be good for her. Why waste the mana? Invoker on top lane, in the meantime, is going to take a tier 1 tower of his own. Level 1 Necrobook, level 2 Necrobook, actually, with the help of double Forge Spirits, is going to solidify that one. But it's going to be a tower for tower. However, mYinsanity do have a lot more inherent pushing power because they do have the Invoker. They're going to go for a little bit more. Paris is here to defend, but he's so close to his book, and he's going to regret walking forward. Now hit with a Deafening Blast. Epicenter. Paris has no help incoming. Not yet at the end rate. Now Spectre is going to drop. Teleportation is going to be canceled up on top, and that's pretty much the worst timing to die as a Spectre. Yes, it did draw out a Chronosphere. Yes, it did draw out an Epicenter, but it's very much so worth it for mYinsanity since they get 2 towers and not just 1, plus a Spectre kill. And they might even draw more heroes up here. Kunkka's going to be teleporting straight into a Puck Silence unless he cancels it right now, and he will. So Undershock is going to be passively burning gold from the enemy. He's going to run into Cryo J, and he does see that Venge, and Venge doesn't quite know about it. Instead, it's going to be silence onto Giral. Cryo J is going to take quite a beating in the meantime. Undershock won't be able to take that kill because here comes a boat, which will connect onto pretty much no one. Undershock's still alive at the meantime, but it's going to be the Faceless Void to fall. Coil drops in Cryo J, but he's somehow still alive. How is this Vengeful Spirit still alive? I have no freaking clue. But anyway, Denial, they clean up. It's a 3-for-0 after losing their Spectre. And, well, Giral wants a little bit more. Has still the split, but can't really find an opportunity to use it. I think the boat rum really coming in big there for Denial, especially that Vengeful Spirit.
For sure. Paris, before that, loses about 300 or so gold before saving up for the Radiance. And it's going to delay the Relic by quite a bit, but not overwhelmingly so. It's still not enough for mYinsanity to shut down the Spectre, and they need to do more to keep Paris down. Invoker is farming incredibly quickly. After the Midas now has a complete Necronomicon 3, 2,000 gold on top of where the Spectre is farming. That 2,000 gold is that Midas advantage towards the Invoker, and he almost has maxed out Exhort. He's really mYinsanity's biggest damage source. Sunstrike fishing for Funzy, not going to find him. That ward is pretty much given away with that Sunstrike, but even so, would have been a kill.
It might not be given away because it's just as probable that the ward is up on the high ground instead. So, I mean, Denial know that this area, there is vision in the area. They don't exactly know where. So maybe now it's where they wish they had a gem, but it's instead travels for the Beastmaster, trying to be a little bit more aggressive with his boot choice. And, well, it's going to be a little bit too late to save the mid lane tower. Teleportation coming in. It's going to be Giral. He's going to not get hit with the Burrow Strike, although Milan doesn't even throw it. Tower destruction very easily done by mYinsanity. Are they going to go for more? They have the Chronosphere. They have a Epicenter in 5 seconds. So if they're going to go for it, now's a pretty damn good time. Or going for Roshan is also pretty good. But right now, it's pretty much just mYinsanity fighting up against the clock because the Faceless Void is completely broken. If he was in a core position role, or in a farming position, Faceless Void, if he had any gold, then maybe mYinsanity will be more inclined to take this late and play a little bit slower, but they know that they're up against a Spectre, who should have a Relic pretty soon.
Yeah, that Relic is one creep camp away, and although they'll know Paris is spotted out by the ward, if she farms that large camp, it's all but over for that Relic spending spree. And now Kunkka leading a charge in a smoke coming out from Denial. Looks like they're going to bump into the poor Skarath mage. He's the one to pop the smoke. His positioning's decent, but not decent enough. They're not going to need the split. It's canceled by the silence. He drops a Mystic Flare before he falls, but in the end, he will fall nonetheless. Spectre reality in this fight, going onto the Faceless Void. A time walk away will keep GG sort of safe, but now with the split in the Brewmaster, drops a Chronosphere purely defensively onto effing Mad as well as a Paris, and now with the swap Magic Missile into GG, he's going to give him his life for it. There's nowhere to run, and Faceless Void is down. Chronosphere doing literally nothing. They are going to be able to get a coil and a kill onto the Vengeful Spirit, but now they might have lost Undershark as well. The boat coming through doesn't even land. He's dead already.
That's going to give Paris so much gold being just involved in that fight, but also it's Denial taking a numeric advantage. Vengeful Spirit valiantly giving her life so that her team may continue the fight, and it worked out so very well. I mean, that's pretty much Vengeful Spirit's job, keeping people in range with the swapper, keeping your allies out of range, and, well, Chronosphere, for the second time being used purely defensively, is less than ideal. If they had a Sand King there, my god, the Epicenter would have been beautiful, but unfortunately that just simply wasn't to be, and Denial walk away with yet another one fight in that they could call their own. And they're starting to get some pretty big items up. I mean, maybe not the medallion for Vengeful Spirit, but that's a very cost-effective, high-damage item for her. Fucking Mad has a Staff of Wizardry on top of his existing items. Beastmaster going to go for what looks like a book right now. It should be a Necro book, and Brewmaster has a Vlad's in the works. So Denial, they have all these small items coming up for them, but of course, it's going to be the big item, the Radiance, that is still in the pipeline. It's not quite completed. By 20 minutes, Relic by now would be considered pretty fast, especially after going for drums and phase beforehand, but it's still Spectre who's going to eventually complete that, and then at that point, Spectre just gets turned on. She could do so much more aggressively, and it's going to be GG where she goes for first. Unfortunately, Funzy's Roar a little bit slow to come out, and the Void does walk away, but it's just more farm time for Paris.
Yeah, and that farm time is only about 400 gold. In fact, less than 400, about 370 or so, until Paris has that completed Radiance, and that's very scary, especially if your name is Skarath Mage. Up towards top, we're going to see a Sunstrike miss onto effing Mad, turns for a Torrent Boat, but it's going to be juked by Milan. There's a Meteor dropped onto pretty much nothing as they try to focus down Cryo J. They should be able to get this killed. They just need one more attack onto him, and he's still surviving. He's on the backlines. They now collapse onto poor Cole, who is invis. They don't have detection on anybody, and the Vengeful Spirit is mopped up by the puck, but now They are going to be able to tag Undershock with a little bit of a slow coming out from the Brewmaster. The Kunkka also falls to the Invoker Sunstrike, I believe, if nothing else. Jor-El is going to kill another one of the Necron Warriors, my goodness. And Milan looks for a Burrow Strike, but can't connect with it. Even though they lose 2 heroes in return for only 1, they secure the Radiance for the Spectre.
And that's going to be very nice for Denial. Yes, the Invoker does escape as they used True Sight beforehand. The Dust on the Vengeful Spirit was used and was also at the same time used by, I believe, the Kunkka. Yeah, they both used it at the same time, and I guess both of them missed on the Invoker, so a little bit unfortunate there. Invoker does get to Ghost Walk out to safety, and we will be just fine in doing that. But Denial, they have their big item up. This is the item they've been waiting for the entire game, and now they can take the fights a lot more convincingly. That was also a fight that mYinsanity took without a Chronosphere, so I mean, even though it worked out pretty decently for them numerically, it could be even better for them. That being said, Denial also were working without a split, so we have yet to see the full strength of the of each side's respective fights, but I'm sure that is going to be soon to come as we do see a smoke attempt from Denial. They're going to head straight towards the enemy jungle, I want to say, although they're definitely going the wrong direction if they want to do that. It's going to be Jor-El to be leading the way. He has a split, though it's going to be walking into a Faceless Void, so probably not the best way to go. CryoJ and fucking Mad are going to meet up with Jor-El, though there's no one really here, so smoke unfortunately wasted, but still, if anyone goes down to the bottom lane to farm, i.e. this Puck, they're going to be in quite a bit of trouble. Notice the birds. Bunzy's going to start the roar onto GG and then pretty much kill him off just by himself. He will, in fact, kill him off by himself. Here comes everyone else. Milan's going to be torn to shreds, thinking he's safe in the sandstorm. Now the boat's going to come through, apply rum to everyone. Paris, in the meantime, going to shred that Skywrath Mage. Now going to chase after Cole. This time he's going to force staff to survival, but either way, it's 3 down in an instant. Denial doing so much damage with that Beastmaster. That Void dropped like a rock.
Definitely, usually it's... Well, Sunstrike, it is going to connect, or not even going to matter, but Puck dropping too low between 2 enemy heroes, trying to get out if you're alive, just going to be crit down by Jor-El, and that's a mega kill spree. Now tier 1 tower should be denied by the Invoker, although Let's See is going to get the last hit. CryoJ sticking around maybe a little too long to look for this one, and Invoker is going to secure that tower deny. They are going to get Concussive Shot slow onto the Vengeful Spirit, but either way, usually you think of a Tinker when you look at Boots of Travel onto the Hawk, but anybody else can do it. There's a split on the backlines coming out from the Brewmaster, but he can't use it aggressively. Now trying to back out if you're the Burrow Strike is going to miss, and he's not in Brewmaster form yet. Blink away from Jor-El is probably going to keep him A-okay. And it looks like Jor-El is going to be able to make a clean escape, and he will TP back towards his base.
Tower is unfortunately denied from Denial, and it's still going to be them getting jumped by the Puck, who did quite a bit of damage, has a level 2 Dagon in tow, so she will be able to do that type of damage towards someone as soft as the Vengeful Spirit, and pretty much anyone, honestly, is in danger of that combo, especially with a Sunstrike to follow up. I don't know if anyone in Denial can live through that, but that being said, it was still, in the end, a favorable trade for Denial as they get a little bit more map control, and that just means Paris has a little bit more space to farm now. Roshan still not quite yet achievable by either side, as they're going to be relatively restrained when it comes to Roshan. Going up against the Beastmaster Hawk, you don't really want to be in the Roshan pit. Going up against Chronosphere, Invoker, and, well, all of Heroes from mYinsanity, Denial are going to be very cautious about approaching that objective, so I don't expect that to happen for quite a long time. But regardless, most of the tier 1 towers are down. It's going to be a jump in on top lane where CryoJ is going to get a face full of Dagon, and it's going to drop very quickly just to Undershock solo. But either way, it's going to be a couple hits traded here and there, but mYinsanity is still behind in kills and definitely not getting any farm, at least not comparable farm to the Spectre.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, the Invoker is quote-unquote out-farming the Spectre, but his items are more towards utility, with the 4-staff Boots of Travel, as well as the Midas. They're nice items to have, but his only true 6-slotted item is that Necronomicon, and although it's really good for pushing these towers, the Spectre herself is just so much scarier to the entirety of the team than the Invoker is, unless he lands a beautiful combination, and that's independent of items. So, I don't know. Spectre, just the impact of the Radiance seems to be outweighing the fact that she's a couple thousand gold behind the Invoker.
So far, we haven't really seen too many amazing Invoker combos. I mean, he's had some pretty clutch skills, the Deafening Blast, and occasionally some pretty good Sunstrikes, but we haven't seen the Chronosphere combo yet for mYinsanity, and even though the Spectre is getting pretty dangerous, when you're caught in a Chronosphere with Sunstrikes and Mystic Flares, there's not many heroes that could withstand that, let alone a soft hero like Spectre, but for now it's going to be Milan, who's going to actually farm up a Hawk. He saw that one coming, he's going to get hit with a Torrent for his efforts, blink forward from Jor-El. Going to connect onto Milan, but Milan Burrow Strikes into the trees, and looks like he will be fine. Has a 4-staff blink to get himself back out, but no stun, so Jor-El should be just fine. It's just Denial trying to poke at mYinsanity and try to force more heroes down to the bottom lane, and it looks like they have been relatively successful. They have a 4 for 3, or 4 versus 3 now situation down on bottom, and if they get an opening with a Roar or a Blink Clap split, then that could just be an instantly won fight for them. In the meantime, Spectre being kind of stalked by the Puck, but I don't think Puck has enough to kill off this hero. Maybe if a Sunstrike lands, although it is level 3 Dagon now. Looks like she's not going to get the chance. Paris is going to walk away.
Yeah, if Sunstrike lands, I think that's a kill, but I don't know. It's unlikely that's actually going to connect, even with a Dream Coil to set up. Sunstrike's fairly hard to land on those targets that are still mobile. We are going to see a tier 2 tower down in bottom fall towards Denial, unanswered by mYinsanity. They throw a concussive shot, but it's behind the tower for Denial to dive. X marks into Torrent, into boat, onto the poor Skyrath Mage with a haunt through. The boat lands and Lizard's going to die. Just the illusion of the Spectre. She didn't even need to reality in there. And, well, that's going to be all she wrote. Tier 2 tower plus a little bit of extra something in the Skyrath Mage kill.
And Paris is going to be all the way up to 3,000 gold already with the Vit booster. Should be a heart for Paris. At least it seems like that's going to be the build. They're not done yet on the bottom lane. They still have a Blink Clap split, and it's going to be Cole and Undershock to be on the receiving end of it. There's a split, but they're going to instead go for Fucking Mad, burst him down in a hurry. He's going to turn around, put some damage more into Cole, and Fucking Mad's still alive, actually. He's at 100 HP, and he will survive the entire thing. Spectre now just walking here into this fight. The split still causing some havoc in the back lines, but I don't think they can go for anything else. Milan is in now with an Invis rune, looking for a Blink Burrow Strike potentially. It's still going to be Paris and the rest of the team trying to deal with some Necro units. Not really a huge priority there. They will be able to clean the rest of those up. Fucking Mad, gotta be careful not to take that down because he will get re-initiated by a Puck, but double stun onto the Puck is going to make a quick work of him. Now, the Epicenter actually being canceled by GG's Chronosphere. Would have killed them both, but instead it's only going to be Cryojet, I think, to fall. Here comes Paris once again. Will make quick work of the Sand King. Now going to try to go for a Lizard. For the umpteenth time, this Scarth Mage is going to be chased down and will be killed. GG now the only one to survive. Will try to go for Cryojet, but he won't even make that happen either. Denial walk away with so many heroes at such low amounts of HP. Cryojet and Fucking Mad barely limping out of there with their life, and in the meantime, it's Spectre to get so much additional gold off of that. It's a full 5-man wipe in favor of Denial.
It feels like Faceless Void is completely playing on tilt. 0, 8, and 0. Can't set anything up. Going for an Aghanim Scepter that it's going to be a nice item for his team, but not if you can't land Chronospheres. Most of his Chronospheres land on just as many allied heroes as they do on enemies, and that's just not acceptable, really. And I don't know, Faceless Void needs to step up his game if mYinsanity really want to have a chance at taking this game, because they rely very heavily on getting that Chronosphere to do their damage.
And they haven't had a single combination yet. I mean, if the Faceless Void waited for just a split second more, maybe the Sand King could have gotten his Epicenter off, as he was, I think, channeling it by the time the Chronosphere dropped. So that would have for sure gotten a couple kills for mYinsanity, but instead, the Faceless Void pulling the trigger just a little bit too early ended up costing them a kill here and there, and well, suddenly they find themselves down 16 kills in this game. Never where you want to be in a game ever, let alone in a game versus a Spectre, who is collecting is in part of 18 of those 27 kills. So Paris is getting pretty terrifyingly huge. Has a heart now, so I mean, even if the Chronosphere and the Epicenter lands, they need at least a Sunstrike or a Mystic Flare on top of that in order to get the kill, and that's, of course, through all the other Denial heroes who are going to be messing with that all the while. The Vengeful Spirit at a certain point will just keep the Spectre safe 100% of the time, so it's going to be difficult times for mYinsanity. The dream is always alive for their combination to land, but so far we haven't seen anything even resembling something close to that. Fucking Mad's going to force that forward for a boat, which is going to be just free-handed. They're going to throw a Magic Missile on Unshock, which will land, taking quite a bit of damage. Here comes the Void into a Torrent. Now a nice 3-man Chronosphere, but where's the follow-up? Sunstrike and Mystic Flare onto Cryojet. No Mystic Flare, actually. Cryojet's still alive, gets swapped out. He's going to be just fine. Milan coming in with the Epicenter a little bit too late, however. Nice Deafening Blast from Cole. Puck reinitiating will kill off the Brewmaster in a hurry, but it's going to be Cole to get beaten down. Now Undershock's torn to shreds by Paris. It's another full 5-man wipe. This time mYinsanity, even landing all of their team fight skills, it went even worse, and Milan's going to tap out.
Yeah, I don't blame them at all. Even when they land a good Chronosphere, they weren't able to combo everything immediately inside of that, and Paris throughout the fight did so much damage with just the Radiance Burn and the Dispersion, and Denial, they come away with this victory in the second game, leading it 2-0. As far as the Bets on Dota 2 Lounge are concerned, nobody really expected that, as Denial are a very risky team to bet on, but today they're showing their colors and they come out 2-0.
And of course, this isn't to take away anything from mYinsanity, because they are kind of just running with more random people than they are running with their usual lineup, but still they are going to find themselves on the bottom of the brackets, guys. But this is going to mark the end of the, what is it, seventh day, I think, of the Battle of Central Europe. We have more games of Denial, mYinsanity, going to be coming up tomorrow, hopefully with fewer delays. Fingers crossed for that, guys. But here on HeflaTV Hitbox 1, it's been a pleasure bringing you all the games. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by Grandis V for all of these games, and well, we are going to call it quits for today. Any last words?
Not really. I'm tired. I want to sleep. Thanks for watching and hope to see you on some future broadcasts.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow, same time, 16 CET, for more games from the Battle of Central Europe. Check out the ticket, get a meepo set. But for right now, we're out. GG.